One of the greatest finishes in NASCAR history. I don't know, I mean, gosh, they've been going, we've got 3 of them this year. So you win Atlanta. And I'm telling you what, I'm a race fan. I'm on the edge of my seat. Now, I know I talked to you about this in Texas. Tell me about, where were you, like in position? You're coming into 3. What do you think? Take us through that last corner at Atlanta when you won.
Well,
3 wide.
I mean, really, it was very, very tricky because I really wanted to make the move to the outside. And once I got into the outside, I knew I was in a good spot. And I really wanted to build a good run. And then I realized that the guy that was supposed to push me to get a run was Ryan's Blaney teammate. So he wasn't helping much. So he wasn't.
Was that Austin Cindric?
That was Austin Cindric. So I was like, come on, man. I was like, this.
A Ford guy. Push me. Chevrolet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I was like, man, this damn guy, he's not pushing, like he's actually braking. And then I put the 2 together and I said, you know what, this is not gonna work. So once I realized that, I knew we were gonna take something different, you know, because I wasn't getting enough help from behind. And luckily, you know, actually my amigo Wallace, he's the one that initiated the entire team because he pushed Bush into Blaney, and I was side by side with Bush. He was able to make the move on Blaney, and I made the move on him. So at that point, once I got into corner 3, I already knew I was in a good spot because I wanted to be on the outside.
Right high.
Yeah, so right high on it. And then at that point, I mean, it was just, I mean, anyone could have won that race, right? It was a matter of inches, but luckily, you know, the outside prevailed a little bit because I was the car that was the most far back getting into the 3, which that gave me the advantage of momentum going into the front straightaway. So it just worked out good for us, and I mean, honestly, the finish was amazing, but the entire race, man, the entire race was so intense. After that race, I was so mentally drained, you know, because it was an intense race, and yeah, luckily that we ended up being on top.
Daniel, what does it do for a driver when you cross that threshold? You've done it twice now each year. When you cross the threshold of being a winner, you're in the playoffs now. You know you got that going for you. You can start building. How big of a relief is it? Is it a weight off your shoulders?
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of a weight out of your shoulders because, you know, you can try things outside the box. You know, like for example, my teammate Ross and I, in the last 2 months, you know, Ross is being working with a staff that we all know is good, right? And in the 99, we've been doing things outside the box, you know, trying different things, trying things that really we have paid the price in some races, and in some other races we have learned something very good. So, you know, I feel like it just gives us more freedom to try different things. With that being said, right now we're only 10 weeks away from the playoffs, so right now we have to get back on track because it's impossible to start the playoffs, let's say tomorrow, and just flip a switch and say, okay, now I'm gonna start trying. You know, it doesn't work like that. So you have to kind of like start building some momentum, and you know that's what we want to do, right? We want to learn as much as possible and be ready for the next 10 weeks.
So we have all these questions for you, but you know, I know the fans and myself, it's always like, man, you know, what's it like? It's Team Trackhouse. Your team is setting this new standard of entertainment and racing. Pitbull, I mean, sings the most badass songs there are, gets millions of people jacked up. What is Pitbull like? I mean, when he talks to you, I mean, he's like, come on, man, come on. You know, what is Pitbull like?
Yeah, that guy is full of energy, almost as much energy as you. That guy is amazing, and you know, I believe a lot in how life goes into cycles, and sometimes you go into full circle. I met Pitbull like 12 years ago.
I'll be darned. Where at?
Back in Mexico. Awesome. And we have a friend in common in Mexico. And at the time, I was trying to make the transition to the United States. And this friend come and say to Pitbull, say, hey, watch out this guy, man. This guy is gonna go to the United States. He can't even speak English right now, but he's gonna go to the United States to race NASCAR, and you never know. One day you're gonna see him over there. And fast forward 10 years later, you know,
So bad.
we're partners in the same racing, and when he find out, when he was having this conversation with Trackhouse, and he find out I was the driver, I mean, that was a huge step in the right direction to get the deal
Did you have his
done.
phone number?
I do. You want to call him right now?
What's Hey, Johnny, I gotta ask this question. You know, I like doing interviews that are a little edgy. You know, so my daughter, where's Brittany at? Brittany's holding our baby. So I'm telling my wife, Kim, yesterday, I said, I'm gonna ask Daniel if there's any amigos here. And Brittany's a lover, and she's like, oh, Dad, you can't say that. I'm like, honey, amigos are friends from Mexico. So when you say amigos, explain to everybody. I mean, amigos means your friends, right?
Of course. I love having my
Look, she got a
amigas.
title,
Oh, yeah. That's my amiga right there. You know,
I love you too.
You know, that's something that I feel so blessed and so fortunate to be able to do. You know, because, you know, obviously being the only Mexican driver in NASCAR today in the Cup Series, it just gave me that opportunity, you know, that to do things a little bit different. You
And
know,
have fun with
because
your
I have
amigos.
fun with it and embrace it. Obviously there is a lot of people from the United States, from outside the United States, from Mexico, from Latin America in general that they support me a lot. I call those my amigos, and it's always a lot of fun.
I love. There you go.
But you know, on any given weekend in other professional sports, there's hundreds of people out there that compete. This little group of Cup Series drivers, there's only 38. This is a very small group. It's one of the toughest things in professional sports to do is to make it to the Cup Series. To be a winner on the Cup Series, that's something else. But could you imagine trying to do something that hard when you're from a different country, don't know the language at first, and shoot, Danny, he's doing TV broadcasts right now. You really overcame some hurdles. I just want to congratulate you and say way to go for not giving up.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You know, at the end of the day, it's everything about hard work, discipline, and surround yourself with the right people. You know, tell me who you hang out with, and I will tell you who you are. So you have to surround yourself with the right people.
Oh,
they push you.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
I hang
these
out
guys.
with Kenny Wallace.
I don't hang out with these guys very often, so don't judge me. But yeah, I mean, it's very important to surround yourself with the right people to push you to be better, to push you to what is next, right? And especially all the young kids, you know, all the young kids. Look, there's a little amigo right there. All the young kids that, you know, are starting this journey called life, you know, to start to understand what they want to do. You know, obviously when they're very young, you know, they have to go to school, they have to learn, they have to go through the system, but at the same time learn what they want to do in life, you know, and something that is general, in my opinion, is hard work, discipline, and surround yourself with the right people.
So, give him a round of applause. I mean, that's very inspiring because I know people right here in town who goes, hey man, how do I start racing? I'm like, man, first thing I do is be a race car driver. You got to have that dream.